Yeah, that's what I was.
All right, now everybody clap. All right, we will call the Wood Village City Council meeting February 2025 to order. I will, unless Councilor Minor would like to read the land acknowledgement.
Well, I'd be
No,
happy
no
to.
pressure.
I've,
All right.
unless, you calling on me to do that, Mayor, or you,
I'm just
I don't
asking.
want to cut in front of anybody. Okay, all right. Oh, Jesus, okay. Sorry. The Chinookan peoples known as the Clackamas and Cascades are the indigenous people of the land now inhabited by the city of Wood Village and other areas of the Columbia River. The village of Nachakli was located near today's Blue Lake Park. Ancestral life of these people included a seasonal round of resource gathering and stewardship from the Wapato fields and fishing areas of the Columbia River to the cedar and huckleberry gathering areas of the High Cascades. Introduced disease from early settlers dramatically reduced the number of these people. They signed the Willamette Valley Treaty in 1855 with the United States government and were forcibly removed to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation. We thank the descendants of these tribes for being the original stewards and protectors of these lands since time immemorial. We also acknowledge the systematic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many indigenous Native American families today. We are honored by the collective work of the many Native Nation leaders and the families who are demonstrating resilience, resistance, revitalization, healing, and creativity. We are honored to be guests upon these lands.
Thank you. If you guys would join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Flags right back there. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Well, thank you, everybody, for showing up today. We will move on to citizen comments on non-agenda items.
Just pausing because we actually do have people in the audience, but I don't think any of them are for community comments, and we did not get any in advance of the meeting either.
Awesome. We will go ahead and move with a public safety report with Chief Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. Good to see you all. We don't have a whole lot for you this month. We had 2 stolen vehicles reported over the last 30-day period. One of those 2 vehicles was recovered about a week later in Vancouver, Washington. If we go to the activity report, just a couple of things to note here. So I know that we continue to see a trend of crashes, specifically in our major corridor areas. We have hired some overtime for those. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? We have hired overtime for those. And so you'll see that noted on this report here, specifically in the extra targeted patrol area. You see that's up to 15 for this period. Subject stops up to 6 and traffic stops up to 90 from 67. So I just point that out to show that we are making a concerted effort. I've talked with the city manager. We've got some other ideas planned for some traffic safety missions in the future, as well as deployment of the speed trailers. So hopefully we can get a handle on that a little bit. I went through the calls from the month. I really didn't see anything I really specifically wanted to point out to you this time. Look at the overall person crime. I know that we see that that is up 12 from 4. Really not a lot on our end that we could have influenced on that, looking through the calls, but just something of note. So other than that, I really don't have much for you this month, unless you have questions for me.
We'll start with Councilor Minor. Any questions?
Nope, just a thanks a lot and compliments for increasing that presence on our streets. So I appreciate the county taking a focus on that. So nice work and thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from the rest of the council?
No questions, but I appreciate what all you people do, and I always have. We've got the best policing going in this town, as far as
Thank you.
I'm concerned.
Yes, great. Yep.
I wanted to see if, I know this is recent, we were both at the ceasefire that the city of Gresham kind of was creating this program now. And I wanted to see if you could just do a brief share of your thoughts of where MCSO plays a role in that. And again, how can we make it more of a East County effort, not just solely a Gresham effort, as they shared a story there where we see, crime happened in Troutdale, runs through all of East County, ends up in Portland.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, we discussed it at the initial kickoff meeting that there had actually just been a recent call where there was a vehicle, there was a robbery in Portland, which has made its way to Gresham and to Troutdale and through Wood Village. So to the mayor's point, this is all one East County and we are all connected. So yeah, we're committed to continuing those meetings and seeing what we need to do to partner with them. We have some other initiatives that we've been partnering on similar as well, not on the ceasefire side, but more like a homeless outreach side. So Gresham and the sheriff's office, we're fully committed on working together to solve these issues in East County.
I appreciate that commitment. Seeing you guys there really assured me, as Counselor Smith said, I feel we have the best police service out here as well. So thank you.
I
Thank you.
got one more thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to advocate for this, but we had a Citizens Academy here years ago.
Mhm.
It was the best as far as community outreach and good publicity for our police department that you can ever get. And we need to do it again. So I'm just going to keep talking about it and keep pushing people, and maybe it'll happen again.
Well, I will, after we talked about it last time, I think it was probably 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
I was able to connect with Sergeant White, who previously ran this. He provided me all the materials we have from there. Unfortunately, it's staffing driven at this point.
I know.
Once our staffing gets up a little higher, we'll be able to look at some of these initiatives again. It's really tough for us right now. So,
Okay. Well, we all appreciate it.
but I am working on it. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
absolutely.
Any questions from staff, comments?
Just one quick comment, just so everyone is also aware, for a while they had a pullback on the HOPE team to cover some of those staffing concerns. They do have, Sergeant Gerkman is back full time on that, trying to bring in some others. And we did meet with the chief, Sergeant Gerkman, just today to talk about, we know the cold weather is here and the concern for those who don't necessarily live indoors, and trying to do what we can to encourage them to take place in part of the county provided, warming centers or overnight shelters, and just some strategies around that. So, those who don't have a permanent home per se still have a safe place for an evening. So we did have those conversations and some strategies for some of our more regulars.
Yeah, thank you. And on to that point, we're Sergeant Gerkman and I are in daily meetings with our partners in Portland and Gresham to figure out which warming shelters are going to be staffed through what hours, and so we can get those resources out to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilors.
All right, we'll go to review of bills paid. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
We actually don't need a
Sorry,
motion on
not
that one. It's a motion on the next
The
one.
next one, got it. But no questions on bills paid.
No.
Awesome.
How
All
quick
right.
we are to approve, right?
We'll move to consent calendar. That one is a motion.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
That,
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right. All right, motion carries. We'll now move to presentation of Community Member of the Year Award. Just quickly, Greg can probably help do some history on this, but this is a program that we established 3 years ago.
We'll be
Four. This is the fourth year, and it's really an opportunity for our community members that either live here, have businesses or provide services to acknowledge individuals, groups, or businesses for their great work and contribution to our community.
So I'm just gonna sit so I can talk into the mic, but I don't want to sit for too long. So certainly this is a feel-good time, not just for me, but for the council, for our community, to recognize those who go above and beyond to make what Wood Village is, and that is great. And this year, it's the Wood Village Baptist Church was nominated and also then selected by the city council for the really decades-long partnership with the city and community, going back to the night out that we partnered with since it's almost its inception, various meetings, community forums, gatherings, their various programs. What was unique this year, not only were they nominated again, it's been several years in a row, but also some specific individuals from the Baptist Church were nominated for their works around, their monthly food pantry program, the toy drive distribution, and just other community work. So really happy to help, acknowledge not just the Baptist Church as an entity in our community, but also some, unique individuals that, step up to help make it what it is today. So we have, a standard plaque for the Baptist Church that they can post wherever they so choose. We then have the individual plaques for those members that were specifically mentioned, and then a gift card package they can distribute amongst themselves. And then we'll also do a photo with those who are present here this evening to add to our perpetual plaque. So without much further ado in my yakking away, let's invite the Baptist Church up here to congratulate them on their award and service.
Yes. I would just like to add, so I've known Tom for close to a decade now. And so we've been able to partner on a lot of things, not only just as a city, but as a community member. So, this is an awesome opportunity to kind of see this full circle. So appreciate everything, your leadership, everybody here, all what you guys do for our community. So I really appreciate all the hard work. Any comments council would like to make?
Oh, I love the Baptist Church here. With just all of the help with all of the things that you've helped with the city in the many, many years that I've been on the city council since 2007, just phenomenal. Just can't ask for a better group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, oh,
Please.
sure.
Yeah.
And Mike, please.
I would just like to say that we've worked in cooperation with the city of Wood Village. This is an amazing city that has always been focused on the people and caring for the people. And it's been easy to be a partner with this city. So we just want to congratulate you for your care and your love of the people. Not just systems and not just other things, but your care for the people. We thank you for that. Yeah.
Hi, Ro.
Yeah, in front of the wall.
Thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I just wanted to say that, Wood Village Baptist Church is a church that truly cares for people. And God tells us to love and take care of each other. And that's what we try to do. So, yeah, I love these people. They do good things.
Counselor Minor, any words you'd like to share?
Well, you shared them all. I'd summarize it just that Wood Village Baptist Church makes Wood Village a better place for all of us to live.
Well, thank you once again and congratulations. Now we'll move to board commission interviews, and it looks like we have Hunter Jones for Urban Renewal Board. if you would like to come up, no, that's not,
No.
sorry.
Look like
Well,
Hunter to us.
I was just excited to appoint somebody to the board. So.
Are you Hunter?
We did have this scheduled for 6:40 and it is 6:15, so
Got it.
Oh,
perhaps
you may be,
they're not just quite here yet. So maybe we do the community college while they're here.
okay.
Oh, that's probably no, it's too late now. We already invited Mount Hood up.
Oh,
Yes. It was supposed to be Jennifer. Jennifer DeMint was out sick tonight and
Okay.
they gave us the opportunity to ask if I wanted to come out and I said, well, I got to come out and visit with Wood Village last spring, so so I was happy to come out tonight.
Awesome.
Oh, good. I don't have to do the whole.
No.
Perfect.
Well, good evening, and I wanted to say thank you, Mayor and Wood Village City Council members for inviting us out. Once again, my name is Charles George. I'm the Associate Vice President of Facilities, Public Safety Risk at Mount Hood, and joining me tonight is Board Member Diane Noriega.
Yes, I've been on the Board of Education for Mount Hood Community College for going on 10 years now. And it's my, I come from my professional background was as an educator. And so my passion is education. And so I'm in the right place at the right time. Thank you.
Perfect. We'll move the mic. So last spring, I was here with Diane McKeel. We had the opportunity to present to you about the bond proposal that our board was considering, and we gathered some feedback from the city council and took that back to our bond team. So we appreciate that feedback and want to say thank you for the feedback we got there, and we've incorporated that. And then we also wanted to add that the mayor was part of our community stakeholder work group that built this bond. So we want to thank you for that engagement. And I was just talking about that earlier today. It was the whole Build a Bond campaign where everybody was in there and got to select the projects and things. So it was a fun activity. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Since we last met, there have been, has been considerable community outreach as part of our feedback process over the last month. We've or 9 months. We presented to 67 community events, listening to what people had to say about the bond. We heard that the community values the college and wanted more information about the impact of the bond. They wanted to hear more and what the impact would be. So we realized we need to share that the MHCC bond is not just a financial measure, it's a commitment to strengthening our local economy, expanding educational opportunities, and ensuring that our residents have access to high quality facilities and services. So why the bond matters. So we have some facts to share. So MHCC serves as a cornerstone of education, workforce development, and community engagement, with enrollment increasing, thankfully, and our infrastructure aging. Our ability to provide quality education and career training is at risk. As a reminder, this bond will allow us to upgrade and modernize classrooms and facilities, ensuring students have access to modern learning environments. Expand career and technical education programs directly aligning with local industry needs and preparing a skilled workforce. And then one of the ones that's also near and dear to me, improving campus safety and accessibility, creating an environment where all students, faculty, and community members can thrive, and invest in cost-effective infrastructure improvements to help reduce long-term operational costs and improving environmental responsibility. Sure.
The bond was designed to focus on the essentials. We're not going out for money to build new buildings. We're working with what we have. So we estimate that the cost to the taxpayer will be about 25 cents per 1,000 assessed value, or for the average homeowner in our area, about $5 a month. We have a large district, so we can spread the pain, if you will. It also brings positive economic and community impact. Supporting this bond is an investment in our local economy. MHCC produces skilled graduates who contribute to our businesses, our hospitals, public services. For example, last year, we graduated 236 healthcare workers. 66 of those were nurses. We also produced an additional 27 cybersecurity specialists, which is really big right now, 18 automotive technicians, and 47 childcare workers, just to name a few. Through improving our facilities, we can strengthen our programs and can close critical labor gaps. In fact, MHCC is the #1 provider of higher education and job training in our area. In a single year, our alums who work in this region earn more than $350 million to the local economy every year. Additionally, the projects funded by this bond will create local construction projects, jobs, generate economic activity, enhance property values in our community. This is an opportunity to leverage public investment for long-term growth. We recognize the importance of fiscal responsibility. The bond has been carefully structured to maximize community benefits while minimizing taxpayer burden. Strong financial oversight and accountability measures are in place to ensure the funds are used efficiently and effectively. And if my other colleague, Jennifer Dement, were here, I would be throwing kudos at her because we literally have won a significant number of awards for our financial responsibility and accountability. So the board's goal is to have the support of every city council in our district. So I respectfully ask for your support by endorsing this bond and encouraging your constituents to invest in the future of our city. By voting in favor of the Mount Hood Community College bond, we are ensuring education remains accessible, our workforce remains competitive, and our community remains strong. I want to thank you for your time and your commitment to the residents of Wood Village. We welcome any questions you might have, and we appreciate your leadership in helping us move forward together.
Well, thank you. We'll start with Councilor Minor. Any questions?
No questions, just a thought that we need as we move forward with this. Certainly, Mount Hood Community College deserves a passage of this bond. And the question I would have after listening to other city councils and our city council, is there anything that the college sees that would help us as a city support this bond measure?
Certainly workforce development. I mean, our graduates are going to be the people that you hire to do all of the jobs, the work in this community. I think one of the major things we're going to do is consolidate all of our healthcare professional programs in one hub so that we will have, nurses, physical therapists, dental assistants. They'll all be together and working, and we work with the community for them to do the work they have to get done to get their degrees. I mean, that's just one example, but I really feel like that's the major contributions that we make is in the workforce development. We have a huge number, I didn't bring that number, of internships. Some of those are paid internships, and so our students are already working in the community, and typically they will be the #1 candidates for those jobs once they've finished their programs.
Thank you. I guess I didn't make my question clear enough. It was what can we do to help you pass this measure as a
Well,
city?
we would like to have your endorsement as a city council. Did you bring endorsement forms? Yes, we can provide the endorsement forms. And if you all agree, if there's consensus, then it could be on behalf of your city council. You could also, Mayor Rios Campos, endorse on your own as well. And please, the social networking is really important. People have confidence in you. They've elected you as their city council members. So if you, publicly say, yes, we support this college really needs to be upgraded, improved. It's been 50 years and we have not had a bond. So we've been, Band-Aids and, pulling stuff together, acquiring some debt in order to pay for the improvements that have to be made that we don't have other money for. So, yeah, this is.
Can you refresh my memory of how, I remember last year you came with us, it was quite a bold plan. How miserably or how close did we get to meeting the 51% that you needed to pass?
Well, we had a poll right after the holidays, and it got us close to 50%. The group that we're working on the most are the undecideds. So there are people that'll, all you have to do is say.
It never went to vote?
Hasn't yet.
It hasn't yet.
Previous bond is what he's asking. What was the vote on the previous?
Well, it was over 50%, but that was when the bond required a 2/3 majority.
Oh,
Yeah, so it didn't pass.
so we're still going to be up against a 2/3?
No,
No.
51% is all we need. Simple majority this time.
I will mention being part of that committee, a huge focus was ensuring that the students and faculty, had all the things that they needed to ensure their success. But there was also a huge lens on the community and looking at it as a community resource. So the gymnasium works as a Red Cross facility. That was something very new to me, that in case of a natural emergency, that's where the Red Cross goes and, folks can go seek refuge. And so understanding that space needed, huge updates and just update it to ensure it could withstand some things. I mean, the committee was really focused on ensuring that it was a community resource and a community asset as well.
The other resource that I know the community really enjoys is our swimming pool.
I use it all the time with
aquatic
my
center.
grandchildren, so I get what you're saying.
Swim.
Yes.
But it's the only pool in the region that is the competitive size.
Oh, I know.
And so
It's
people
just-
come from all over to,
Yes,
to use that pool.
yeah, we use it every other week at
Yeah.
the least.
Yeah. So we're working on getting that, that we have,
It has some maintenance that needs to be done though. I get that.
yeah, well, we're raising money for that, the permanent cover for the pool.
Or the big one outside? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. That's the only one that's outside now. Yeah.
Say we're teeing up a project, so it's a retractable roof system that like slides on itself to be opened when the weather's nice and fully enclosed in the wintertime or when there's bad weather. And so we've been designing that with HVAC and lighting levels so that we could have year-round competitions, year-round use of the pool. So that's one of the things that'll expand lessons, it'll expand competitions and teams and folks coming to the community as well.
That's
So we're
beautiful.
hopeful. And then, Mayor, what you're referencing too is the seismic upgrades to the
Oh, sorry.
gymnasium. There's, you have the concrete walls and then you have the dome, and there's some seismic improvements we need to do there to have it be immediate reentry following like a seismic event or a large event, but it is a Red Cross shelter for us as well.
There's also the issue of safety, the safety of our students, staff, and faculty. There's no way to lock down the campus at this point. And so every door has to be locked manually. So, in the event, God forbid, of an active shooting incident, it could
Say
be
no more.
disastrous. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Counselor Minor?
No questions.
No questions.
No further.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No other
No, I'm good,
questions?
thank you.
Is there any thoughts on endorsing as a council?
I'm all for it.
I would like,
I
I would like to make a motion. Go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, I just.
I would like to. Okay.
Ladies
delay.
first. I just would like to get some more information on everything. I don't have enough as far as I feel that I could do anything right now. So,
We can certainly get more information, then bring this back into the future meeting as a potential resolution. So happy to gather that, present it to you all, and then have a little time to digest it and then make that motion.
thanks, Greg.
We
Great.
do have
Thank you.
some
Oh, that would help,
handouts.
No.
right?
Yeah,
That would help.
thank you. Thank you.
It has a little bit of a summary on there, but on the back page, it has mhccbond.com where we have more details on the bond
Okay.
as well.
All right. Yeah, I just need more information. I mean, it sounds really good. This is all the pros, but I'd like to hear from some of the cons because you got to get,
25 cents.
Well, great. Well, we'll take this in and then,
We'll schedule it
schedule-
to come back. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for the work that you guys are doing. And, I am hopeful that we'll be able to support in some way or fashion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
thank you.
Okay. Hey, we got the,
I think so.
Hunter? All right. So we were ahead of the game, and so I thought this gentleman over here was you, and I was wrong. So, but we will invite you up and to do the interview process for the appointment of the Urban Renewal Board. Yes.
Right now.
Hello, my name's Hunter Jones.
See,
Sure how to address you all.
yes.
No worries.
Well, you have to be in front of the microphone because you're on television.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Hunter, thank you for your willingness to serve on our board. We do have 5 questions that we'll go around and ask you and answer to the best of your ability. If you have any questions, please let us know. If you want to just start sharing just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Hunter Jones. I grew up in this area. I moved to 198th Avenue when I was 13. Lived here most of my life. I went to Mount Hood Community College. And then I moved to Wood Village area 3 years ago. I have 2 kids. One was born in the house. One was moved in when we were 1. And I really love this neighborhood. I love the history of it. We just love so much about this. I take my kid to the park. We walk through the trails around here. Yeah, and I'm just looking for a way to give back what I can to an area that's given me so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We'll go ahead and start with Counselor Smith. If you want to just take question 1.
Okay. Welcome, first of all, and for your willingness to serve. What in your background draws you to want to serve this city on the Urban Renewal Board?
I really enjoy the amenities that Wood Village has, and I would like to continue to make sure that those amenities are available in the future. Like I said, I've used the park, I've used the Play East, the new bathroom that's going in that was needed. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm looking for a way that I can serve, and I think this would be a good use of the skills I have. Working as an engineer right now for the Portland General Electric. I'm reviewing construction projects with budgets. So yeah, I'm looking to use those skills to serve the city.
Thank you.
Did you happen to graduate from the Hood Community College?
I did. I graduated with an associate's in mechanical engineering technology, and then I went on to get my bachelor's at OIT.
Wow.
Congratulations.
There we
Should have had
go.
him come up first. You'd have come in a minute earlier. We'd have had you. That would have been really good. Okay. So can you define your leadership abilities and style that you might serve with this board?
My leadership style is what I do well is I try to understand where people are coming from. And once I understand where people are coming from, I feel like that's the basis for any conflict resolution and signing goals moving forward. Trying to understand where different people are coming from and then trying to make sure that find that common ground between everybody. It's what I value in a leader and it's what I try to do.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Minor, you want to take number 3?
Hi, Hunter, and nice to have you with us tonight. What do you consider important factors in the group decision-making process?
The most important factor for me would be communication. I've seen a lot of projects and groups break down because they didn't communicate well, didn't communicate what they're trying to do. Just communication from beginning to end, defining clear problem statements, defining clear goals, make sure that everybody has that information that needs to have it.
Thank you.
What do you believe are the most important issues facing the community at this time?
Expensive housing. That's something that I've seen with my generation. I'm about 30, and I'm one of the few people that I know that have a house. Nobody else that I grew up with does. It's something that they're struggling to afford and rent and trade.
Thank you. Want to take the last one?
Okay. What else would you like to tell us about how and why you would serve the community?
I believe that, I don't know, I've waited for a while to see like when would be the right time to join. I feel like now is a good time with our political climate. I don't really want to sit back and wait. Like I would like to help where I can right now. I feel like I've gotten enough like professional experience. That I've worked now for 10 years. I've done well with budgeting projects, that sort of thing. So I feel like I'm ready to start serving.
Mayor, can I ask one more question?
Please.
Personally, how old are your children?
They're one's almost 5 and the other one just turned 1.
Just,
Wow.
1.
aw,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
February 3rd was his birthday.
Wow.
wow.
Do they like the park? Do they like the
Oh yeah, they love the
playground?
park. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
It is.
It's beautiful.
We moved. I started taking my oldest to the park when he was 2, and you know that little walk that has the planks in it. Yeah, so he was very unsteady at that at first, and it's just been amazing to see like him get more confident. And now he's so big and he's running
Yeah.
on it, and it's hard to catch now.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Amazing. I'll entertain a motion to
Motion to approve,
appoint.
to appoint to Hunter to the Urban
Hunter
Renewal
Jones.
Board.
Yes.
Hunter Jones,
Yes.
Smith
There-
Jones.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Aye. Well, Hunter, thank you so much. You've just
you.
been appointed to the Urban Renewal Board.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Hunter, just really quick, we will reach out to you here probably next week and look at times to set up an orientation for just the urban renewal side of it.
Okay.
We'll then do a separate one, talk about the urban renewal budget piece. That'll be closer towards probably end of March, first part of April. But we'll certainly get you up to speed on what urban renewal has done and what its future may look like here before then. But so in the meantime, thank you for your willingness to serve, and we'll be in contact with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I just want to throw a quick thing just to kind of throw a seed at you as having young ones. We are also looking for a community member for our Play East board.
Oh,
And
that's
so our
true too.
Play East board is our local recreation provider in the area. I'll share some information with Greg that can share with you. And if that sparks your interest, we can have a further discussion on what that looks like as well.
Okay. Yeah, it does spark my interest. My only concern right now is time,
Yes.
but how often do they meet?
Right now, they
8
only meet
times a year?
six times a year. It is, it's not on every other month, but there's times that they do meet and there's, time of periods that they won't meet. So the summer, they won't meet. So
Okay.
I have kids of my own, so it's very great to understand that we don't meet there. But I'll share that information with Greg and he can share it with you. And then, once you have that information, if that's of interest.
Yeah, that'd be of interest.
Awesome.
We can have that conversation.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. Hunter.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Well, talking about the Play East.
Yeah, let me get your
Now it's.
Well, yeah, nice job, Hyro.
Want to learn a little more, I will be doing an annual report on Play East as well.
Oh, you're going to do that right now?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun.
All right. Good evening. Tonight I will be providing a staff report, an annual staff report on Play East. These are the areas we'll be covering tonight. If you guys if there's any questions, please feel free to ask during the presentation or at the end. Last year was one of our best years in regards to registration. In Q3, we did have a slight decrease by 8%, as noted in the staff report that was sent to you all. But in Q4, we kind of bounced back and had a 31% increase from the previous year. Overall, year to year, we had a 20% increase in registration. Okay. As we continue to grow through registrations, so does registration revenue. Even though we had a slight decrease in registrations in Q3, we were up 12% in registration revenue. Q4, there was a 51% increase overall, giving us a year-to-year 45% increase. The biggest factors to consider was the increase in program cost. With that, even though there was an increase in program costs, we were able to award 178 scholarships with a value of a little more than $10,500. This slide kind of shows our program expense to revenue. Through our preliminary numbers, the trend of covering all of our program expense through our program revenue. There is some work behind the scenes to obtain actual numbers. The city finally hired a finance director. So the hope is by April, we'll have more accurate numbers and can provide that information to you all. As we look at the current year, Q1, we offered 26 camps, allowing us to serve 254 registered participants, a 29% increase. In Q2, we served a record-setting 413 participants. This was a 79% increase in registration. So far, if you compare the 2 quarters, we've had a 56% increase. Some factors to consider is some of the most popular classes we added 2 sessions of, and we also provided a new program, which was dance, which has been extremely popular. As we look at winter that we're currently in and our spring projections for registration, we anticipate having another record-setting year with anticipation of a total increase of 35% increase for registration. As we look forward to spring and summer, we are anticipated to be one of our biggest. For spring, we're planning to offer 50 programs. This is a 56% increase in program offering. And for summer, we're planning to offer 40 camps. So this is a 43% increase. Last summer, we continued our summer meal programs. We were able to serve nearly 1,000 meals through those 5 weeks. 4 of those weeks were in partnership with the Reynolds School District. Play East then added an additional week that covered all those costs. Again, we plan to offer it this summer again, and depending on what the school district is looking to provide, we'll either offer 1 or 2 additional weeks this summer as well. Last year, we were present at all city events for both cities. So it was a busy summer, and this year we anticipate doing the same, as well as included in some of the community events as well. It was a short presentation, but I will take any questions.
And yet,
Those free meals in the summertime, do parents get to partake of that also?
Yeah, so we are I think the only site in the Reynolds School District that allows adults to participate in the meals as well. And so that's a cost that the school district can absorb, so we absorb that, but it's budgeted for
Yeah,
it.
I think that's a good thing. So,
Tell us about the fundraiser.
Oh, last year's fundraiser was our biggest. We were able to raise nearly $41,000. This year, we are hoping to increase that to $45,000. It's scheduled for Thursday, May 15th at 6 p.m. at the Fairview Food Plaza. There would be food catering, raffle items that we can buy raffles to potentially win, and you guys can do straight donations as well. But the fundraiser is our, besides the contributions from the city, is our probably #1 revenue avenue that we have that allows us to provide summer meal programs, other free programs that we do during the year, the free technology camps that we do in partnership with Metro East, allows us to run the mobile van to all the events and provide free activity. So it's a huge piece of what we're able to do with Play East.
And where can someone donate?
Yes, right now, we're gonna have a link on both cities' website to directly go to it. We'll have a QR code, but we are using a new platform. We transitioned, the platform's called GiveButter, but I will provide that information with Greg. So then the link or the QR code will take you directly to be able to donate.
I don't know how many people are aware of this in Wood Village and Fairview, but Wood Village and Fairview started this out, what was it, 7 years ago as a
Close to 8.
recreation program for underadvantaged children, because the other rec programs, they were out of sight as far as cost went. So we started that, and it just grew and grew and grew. And to this day, we don't turn any child away for lack of funds. And I think that's important to get out there. You know?
Yeah, and we are also unique because we are one of the only agencies that we don't have a residential, non-residential, that is not a district. So we are not a district, but we operate like one. So we do rely on our partners, our sponsors, our donations. Again, that allows us to kind of provide this equitable program all across 5 municipalities.
And Hiro, you do a great job.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
My gosh.
And Hiro, that's a nice presentation as you've heard. So thank you very much for your leadership with Play East.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go back to being mayor.
Just to clarify, so I am the program manager for Play East. So that's why the transition and doing the presentation and was wanting to share that information. And thank you for sticking around and listening to it. All right, we will move on to resolution 2-2025 well 3 upgrade.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. So Greg actually went over a good portion of this last council meeting. So we're going to circle back around because we're looking to sole source with Control Systems Northwest. So we'll go over a little bit of that. So the background, kind of why we're wanting to sole source with Control Systems Northwest is back in 2022, we switched up integrators and started going with CS&W. They actually are the ones that completed our whole SCADA project. So all of the programming, software, some of the electrical work, all of that for all of our water facilities and wastewater facilities. So they went through, they know best of kind of our system, know the ins and outs. And when they did well 3, going back to kind of what Greg has already gone over with you guys, we just did minimal upgrades on that. We knew we were gonna look at some other things with well 3, doing the motor rebuild and looking at our pumping capacity and all of that cleaning, which is all completed. And then currently CS&W is still our SCADA integrator. And so we contract with them for on-call services too. So if there's anything programming wise or outside of cannot fix, they jump in and help us with that. So as you guys know, and we'll just reiterate kind of what we're looking at well 3, we're looking to upgrade to a VFD, variable frequency drive, and then add a manual transfer switch and a port for a generator hookup. So for the procurement, there are ORs that cover sole source, like we're trying to do. And as I said, CS&W, they know the ins and outs of our system. And so by going with them, it will actually cut costs on having anybody else come in to relook at everything, look at our facilities and kind of reprogram, reinvent the wheel, I guess you could say. So financially, we already had budgeted $210,000. Initially, we really wanted that to go towards a generator at well 3. As we went over last meeting, that's just not an option that can be on the table anymore. So we really want to look at using those funds to upgrade to the VFD transfer switch and the generator port. And that project actually the quote came in just a little over $200,000 for that. We're actually looking and asking to add an additional $20,000 onto that project, just because we've already spent a little over $6,000 for review and design of that. So that additional monies would be to cover that review and design cost. We're anticipating it might come out to about $10,000 just because we don't have all of the invoices yet. And then just for any contingency, if anything else came up during that project. Does anybody have any questions so far?
There are not to exceed on this?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't.
Yep.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
So you guys have some options. Option one is to approve the resolution that we're bringing to you to go through with the project with all of the upgrades we're looking at, go with CSNW and to have it at a do not exceed $220,000. There's the option to approve everything with the do not exceed what they quoted us at just a little over $200,000. You guys could also reject that and tell us that we should go for an RFP, and then you could shut it down completely. So those are kind of all your options to look over. What we suggest is going with CSNW and going through with the project and having the do not exceed at $220,000. So.
Any questions, Counselor Minor?
No, I don't have any questions. We've been through this and I certainly think we should stay with this particular provider, giving their background and service so far that they fully understand the direction that we've been discussing here. So
Any questions?
With
no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
Ooh, I move to approve.
I move to approve resolution. Let me, while we're doing this, let me make it clear that anybody that's been on these virtual meetings, you can't hear certain conversations and it cuts in and out. So Pat, under no circumstances am I trying to interrupt you.
Oh, that's good, because I was worried about that. Okay, you or me?
Well, I kind of thought you were, so Well,
Why don't-
you know what, Pat, I'll defer. You go ahead.
Okay, all right. I move to approve Resolution 2-2025, finding that using Control Systems Northwest to upgrade Well 3 control systems, install a manual transfer switch and generator port allows for the project to be completed without requiring additional costly and time-consuming research and background to understand the city's system. Authorizes the city manager to sign and execute a services agreement with Control Systems Northwest to provide Well 3 upgrades not to exceed $220,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Motion carries.
Oh, that
I'll
was
give him the
easy.
opportunity. John didn't take it.
Okay.
Oh, that was good.
Moving on to discussion holiday meal.
Now, I feel kind of bad. My motions, they're a bit longer than that, so. Give me a moment. Let's talk about, we put it on the agenda as holiday meal programs. You can also call it maybe the food's involved. The city's involvement in food insecurity. And so that's what we're kind of calling it, is the city's involvement in recent food programs and where we may want to go. So to do that, just a little bit of background on our involvement with food insecurity and food programs, talk a little more detail about our 5-year history with the holiday meal programs, and then where you as a council may want to go with all of that. So city actually got involved in food programs before the holiday meal programs, back when we first started supporting the summer meal program at the Baptist Church at that time. It was actually a pretty robust council discussion going back and forth. If you start something like that, you have to support it all the way through. And we did, and luckily, or just luckily, it transitioned to Play East, and that was a great vehicle for that mechanism. City still put in or allocated in the budget money to support that, especially for those adult meals or other add-ons to make it a more robust program or meaningful program. Funds were rarely spent, though, as whether it's the Baptist Church or Play East were able to use funds already allocated for those supplemental portions of that. But the city still supported the summer meal program for about 10 years now. Then with the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, we thought it was a great time to start a Thanksgiving meal program. We called it the Turkey Drive, where basically we procured turkeys and then put together a meal box of various sides and what have you. That it was a registration-based program, which was pretty different than the bulk of our events. It also wasn't, when I say Turkey Drive, it wasn't like people come in and we serve them a meal and things. It was definitely a box of stuff with a turkey and you go home and cook it with your family. We did expand that in 2021 to add a winter holiday meal program, which was ham and again, kind of a box of sides. So throughout our 5 years, 2020 was 150 meal boxes. In 2021, with both programs, it was 300 in total. Starting in 2022, because East County Food Pantry created right around 2020 as well, they had created a similar turkey program. We thought it made sense to partner with them for the turkey one. We still did the holiday one in-house. Caught some bumps along that road, but not enough to, just completely pull back. So in 2023, the city supported funding to do both programs as part of the East County Food Pantry. And the East County Food Pantry, I want to say, is really, really good at their weekly program. They have a robust pantry that people shop from to get assorted goods on a weekly basis and serve over 250 people every week. Doing a registration-based program, I also think with, city expectations for customer service standards, things that we're accustomed to, was a bit of a stretch for them. And so we brought both programs back to the in-house to the city this past year and served 257 people. Overall, over the past 5 years, spent just over $40,000 on this program. Early years did have more in-kind donation support, whether it's from other private business or, local grocers. That's kind of evaporated out for various reasons. So the last several years, we've been spending more of the fully allocated budget than the first few. To really break this down to see about participation, who are we feeding, where are they coming from? This is one graphic to look at, kind of a year by year, event by event, and certainly some of the early years were in this dark green here. Definitely Wood Village heavy. Do want to point out for the Turkey Drive in 2022, and this, nothing against the East County Food Pantry, just how they collected the data. It was either whether you Wood Village or not. So the big purple, that's versus other, because they just didn't collect exactly where they were from, and that was fine. Similar-ish, you could say in 2023, we can't account fully for all of their data. Again, nothing against them, just that was part of the system. And then this past year kind of ticked back up. But generally, other than that first year, the Wood Village community members are half-ish to a third of those total participants, which is represented more in this graph here, which is everyone combined for those 5 years. You can see Wood Village folks make up about a third. Again, the purple a little more skewed because of that 1 year. Most, I would say, would probably add to, Gresham and Fairview. You'd probably see those ones expand and the purple contract a little bit. But generally, Wood Village is only about a third. When you look at how that breaks down into cost of the just over 40,000, or about 12-ish going to Wood Village community members. And that's not to say that us helping in regional food insecurity is a bad thing. It's also who are we serving and where's the money coming from? If it's Wood Village dollars, it's Wood Village first. It is kind of a downside to this program. So as we talk about the future of the city's role in food insecurity, some things to think about, resource allocation. That's both staff time, which we've discussed here before, certainly about running it in-house versus trying to partner with a different organization. Also just the actual funds needed can either contribute or to operate a program. What does our community need? What does the community say that they want, value? Is it a singular event around the holidays? Is it something more throughout the year? If we want to partner, who are other partner organizations that would both be willing and able to take something more robust on, that can also, help focus on that Wood Village need. And then lastly, what really is our role in intending, what's our outcome we're hoping for and what's our role in that? So as we look at potential programmatic options, and again, we're not making any decisions tonight, just helping to start this conversation so we can put together something if council desires and have that in time for the budget. certainly continue the program that we've done. You know, the turkey drive, the winter meal one, you know, we could do it either as is or with modifications. You know, some things we've seen, you know, that's, I'll say hard, you know, it's a registration event and we have to kind of open it, I think, you know, relatively early compared to the time that, you know, the meals are served. A lot of every one of our programs is a drop-in program or event for the most part. And so there are people that show up and we try to plan for a few kind of extras, but it's also hard to say, sorry, you're not on the list. There's nothing here for you. That's never fun to do. Other options, there are regional area and regional food pantries that perhaps additional funding could do something more or different. You know, there's East County Food Pantry. They run the weekly program. You know, if we were to allocate the money that we put towards these two events towards them, could they buy more food? Absolutely. Would that change any outcomes for Wood Village community members? I think that's harder to say yes or no, would or wouldn't it? The Wood Village Baptist Church does a last Thursday of the month food pantry program. You know, and they're very happy with how that program works to kind of step up and try to do more. It's not just an increment, it's a whole kind of bigger, different program. So again, supporting that with more resource wouldn't necessarily change a lot of the outcomes because it's kind of right-sized for what they're doing. Obviously, there's Snowcap, the big regional player for the East County region. There are also, you know, many other nonprofit or smaller food pantry programs, none directly in Wood Village that we're aware of. But certainly others that we could prevent more information on if you've heard of some. We also researched some other smaller ones and see what a partnership or more support could look like. By chance, and talking about the community garden with an organization called Outgrowing Hunger, you know, they talked about their farm stand program, where basically they work with their area farmers, and these are, you know, local regional farms of decent size, and they do pop-up farm stands at area locations to help increase access to fresh fruits, vegetables, etc. And so an option could be to locate that here, the City Hall Park Plaza area once a week during kind of the growing farm season, and just increase access to that. Now, that doesn't mean that the produce is free, but there's also an option to start establishing the Double Up Bucks program. And this is one that I'm really not familiar with all the intricacies, but I know we've got a couple people who are better. So if I misspeak, please speak up. But basically how it works is once you're an established, you know, organization, that you become eligible for Double Up Bucks in a token program. Essentially, a person on a benefits card can spend $20 on the benefits card, use the Double Up Bucks and this token program, and walk out with $60 worth of produce. It's kind of in connection with a sponsoring entity and the Wicker food program. So. And, you know, it does take a year to become eligible to do that. So an option would be to start that process now through this farm stand, help do outreach at area events, and then following year actually implement the token Double Ups program. Another option / additional option is if there is a farm stand, what we were told is most of the farmers would rather than sell the produce at the end of that time. Let's just say they're here from 4 to 7, 7 o'clock rolls around, there's maybe a box left. They'd rather just sell that box at a discount instead of taking it home and trying to repackage it, resell it, hope it doesn't spoil. So an option could be the city then, instead of doing these two winter programs, uses that resource to buy the leftovers at some of these farm stands to either then distribute at the summer lunch program sites or area food pantries to supplement. And so instead of giving them direct cash, we give them more fresh produce. So it's kind of a double dip. We're helping local farmers and local economy and supporting either, you know, more nutrition or the local food pantries. So those are just kind of some smatterings on the wall kind of spectrum of potential options. There's also the option of, you know, we did this, it worked through the period of COVID. You know, Wood Village, while small and mighty, is still small, and, you know, a $10,000 investment is big for us. What does it do in the drop of the bucket of regional food security, and who else is planning and partnering with that? Unfortunately, not a lot of other cities. So it's perfectly acceptable to say, you know, this was a great program. Let's pause and really think what our role is. So I know I said a ton of stuff right there. And this is certainly where it just open up for discussion. Did something resonate? More questions? What can I help address for you?
Let's open it up to question. Counselor Minor, questions?
Well, I don't know if I have any questions at this point. I have some thoughts. The one is, I do think it's time that we really take a hard look at this, and I'm glad we're having the discussion. I also think at this point that narrowing the focus on whatever we do and however it might look seems to make sense to me at this point, that we narrow the focus to Wood Village if we're going to proceed in some sort of assistance there with food. We have the regional players. So those two things are my thoughts right now. I think if we could get any other information from our residents that would help us and inform what we might do in the future, I think would be very helpful. I don't know how we're going to get that, but if we had a way to really ask in a you know, some fashion, get some feedback that could help inform this discussion on the next time then as we move forward for a decision.
Yeah, I know this is a topic we've had over the course of some time, and you know, when the program were established, were, I think, in a difficult situation, which was the pandemic. And so, you know, where are we now, and what is the city's role in this? So any comments, thoughts that you all have?
Only way I can think of controlling it within our city itself is through our newsletter and having a coupon that you cut out.
Yeah, good idea.
They fill it out.
I mean, we can always certainly just limit registrations to Wood Village only. No coupon needed. Just if you're not in Wood Village, you're not eligible. It also seems like the Wood Village participation is kind of plateaued. Now, I don't know why. It doesn't seem like the need has changed. I'm confident there's still a great need in our community. It could also be the stigma with, you know, a government program, or, you know, not trusting government, or just assistance in general. You know, not sure how that plays in, but we know it does to some respect.
So the program that the church has, they would not want to enlarge it any if we do funding, because they seem to do pretty well.
It didn't seem so in conversations with Pastor Miles. Again, not a formal sit down, but it was a, hey, if there were additional resource, what could or would that look like? Would that be beneficial or more detrimental? And it seemed based on those conversations.
Well, there again, the other part is that half their membership comes from outside of Wood Village too.
And certainly kind of how they're able to work it, because I think it's called like a neighborhood food pantry. It's a different tier within the Oregon Food Bank system. And so that works really well for what they need to have on site and how they can run the program, versus if you have additional resource, or again, you start getting these larger requirements upon you. So it seemed like, at least for the time being, they were happy with how the program was working.
Yeah, from what I know about the program, it's basically a 1 day, and it's usually just produce. So it's an easy thing where, you know, they drop the pallets, they distribute it, and then they're done, and they don't have to have any other facilities, as you're saying, requirements to, hold, dry foods in certain places, that, again, the East County Pantry, they receive funding to kind of do some integrations and updates to hold more of those things. I think it'd be wise to look at the Outgrow Hunger, as there is the thought of opening up a community garden. How could they help us create programming, and then use our local community members as well. So that we have farmers within our local community that could in some situation work as a Saturday market farm if we kind of establish that here. And so I think it could be a win-win situation, but I do still hear, the need of the holiday meal drives have been something, again, I don't think any other city has done. And so many people are very grateful for it. And, it seems every year I hear more and more I didn't know about it, and so it's always that fine line of how do you get the communication out, who's those trusted individuals that do it and can follow the process that is in place, where isn't it taking or absorbing so much staff time as well, because I think that's a huge piece to this.
Well, I think, putting it in the newsletter would get to our residents who we, want to get to.
Yeah, we've had it in newsletter, social
and
media,
so-
website, a big, we also know not everyone reads it, or again, because for Thanksgiving, it actually comes out in September. By the time you get to the November one, you're already on the winter one. And that's just the nature of how that has to work. Unfortunately, it's imperfect. One thing to mention with just the farm stand program alone, that actually wouldn't cost us anything. They just want a place they could send their local farmers to once a week to sell their produce. It's not a farmer's market, it's a farm stand. So it's, a couple 6-foot tables typically. But just trying that out wouldn't cost the city anything. It might be a way to do some outreach with community members. Do you like this? What else is needed? We do plan, at least at the Easter egg hunt, to have a booth out to talk about the Double Up program. So those who are already on, a food benefit card going to the Gresham Farmers Market, for example, how they could take advantage of that program. So trying to do outreach around that as well.
Could we put something in a newsletter, like a little questionnaire, maybe 2 or 3 questions as to what they would like to see as our food, as the food we give away? Because, some people don't like vegetables, believe it or not. And they're not going to go to a farm.
No, they're not
with
going to go to a
vegetables.
farm stand.
So, just a little 5 questions maybe of what you'd like to see. We're changing our food program. Can you help us? And I don't know.
Yeah, Councilor Minor does have a point of, asking our community what they want and, tailoring it to that aspect. I
Exactly.
think is key. And
Yeah.
so again, not to put much burden on staff, but asking them a couple questions, do we continue what we have? Is there areas you guys would like changed? Is it, the farm stands of interest, I think can help guide, what direction we go. I know as the budget comes, is there a way to kind of formulate, a more general food program, so it's not so restricted to certain things?
Yeah, so we could still put in, I'll just say the standard, we've done 12,000, I think the last 2 years. We could certainly just continue that and just call it food program. And then, Easter egg hunt, even cleanup day, maybe just a more of a handout they fill out real quick, turn it back. Night out, since those are ones that just have a lot of people, that draw a lot of people, families, older people, et cetera. Might produce more meaningful results. We've tried newsletters before, a website, and we get some back. But we've had better luck when we're gonna already have a crowd and kind of engage them for a couple minutes and just say, hey, of these options, which would be meaningful? Which would you like? What don't you want us to do?
Any other thoughts or comments,
Well,
Counselor
I would
Minor?
definitely, again, I would like to see us try to collect some more information before we start designing any programs. If we can get that information, and maybe it's key communicators, Mayor. Maybe that's, the surveys, we have, there's difficult to get responses. If there are some key communicators that could be listened to, could give us also some direction. And I'm sure that you know some of those key communicators that would help us at least with one, at least for some input. And again, I think that we do have to look at cost of programs, and I don't want to be, we are going to have to start looking at costs because we are going to have increasing costs for other services, including public safety. A $12,000 program isn't going to break us. But we also, again, need to keep an eye on what is our key focus and our key responsibilities as a city as we continue to move forward with some of these conversations about our outreach and our programs that we're doing and have been doing.
Yeah, I think staff can brainstorm some outreach potentials, like key communicators, also working with East County Food Pantry, the Baptist Church Food Program, and just seeing what they're hearing, kind of what trends they have, what they see as need, how that may translate to those guests who are from Wood Village, and what does that look like? So I think we have several options and pathways to follow that. And then, yeah, truly, while again, 12,000 in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of money for Wood Village. It is a lot of money, and it's precious resource. And as you said, we will be facing some increased costs, and need to keep up our financial discipline to ensuring that we're meeting key community needs and aspects.
Awesome.
I think we have our direction.
All right.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and move to Resolution 3-2025. Donald Robertson Park Amenities Bid Award.
Yeah, kind of on the theme of bids that come in high. So we're going to do a little bit of project background to go over what the project design is, the bids that we've got, some ideas around budget, and then what do you all want to do with that? So we took potential CDBG projects as community development block grant money projects to the Council and Parks Commission in late 2023 to which one to present to the CDBG board. And it was pretty robust that the ADA picnic project was the key winner. And so took that to the CDBG board. It was approved. And what it does is add an ADA pathway, I like to call it from the splash pad area, kind of through the Grove, connecting to the crosswalk by what will be the new restrooms. And then we're both replacing and adding additional picnic table capacity, adding a couple benches and the barbecue stations, mostly in the upper Grove, but replacing the last couple older tables in the lower Grove as well. Also want to mention 2 of the picnic tables right off the new ADA pathway are full ADA accessible. So this little aerial, we're sitting right about here. This is the Grove area that we're talking about. And so if we're looking at the splash pad here, the ADA pathway kind of meanders through the trees. This little volunteer tree will have to be removed, but it wasn't gonna survive anyway long-term. But we made it very clear all the other trees have to be well protected. It'll loop around this cool, gateway sign, actually add some concrete around it to make it more of a feature again, and then link up by the restrooms over there. The new benches will be just on the other side of the splash pad wall, out of the splash zone. Parents should enjoy that. A couple picnic tables in this area. This picnic table gets removed, but we're adding one here and then kind of relocating this old picnic pad, just a little, reorienting it a little bit to get a larger table in between the trees. So this is the design. The ADA pathway was the trickiest part because you have all the slopes and grades you have to meet, but it does connect from just the current little pathway here, meanders through and connects to that crosswalk, and then you can connect to the lower part of the park, the restrooms, playground, etc. We have the 2 new concrete pads for the larger ADA picnic tables with barbecue stations, just a standard picnic table here, and then relocating the little pad that was here to a little larger with a barbecue station there. And then the 3 benches out of the splash zone. So that's the project. We put it out to bid January 10th and bids were opened February 4th. We received 4 bids. Lee Contractors, who did our gateway sign work most recently, but also did the original Gorge Hub work, which did include ADA pathway. Paul Brothers, who did our previous CDBG work, which was the Other Grove picnic place, ball field work, etc. And then a new firm, Western United Civil Group. As you can see, the bid's pretty tight, pretty condensed, meaning it was, a well-scoped project, and that is, not a lot of margin between those. So staff reviewed everything and found Lee Contractors was the lowest qualified bid. But what does that mean? Because we said, it was over budget. So we had a budget of this of $125,000, $80,000 of that in CDBG funding. We had to update the archaeological assessment for that area of the park. Even if you do one nearby, they actually do expire. Apparently new old stuff can be found. But hey, happy to keep doing those. We also spent just over $22,000 on the design. The bulk of that on the 88 is very technical to meet those standards. And then we've kind of ballparked $4,000 for specialty inspections, and that's making sure the concrete is the right type of concrete, the forms are appropriate, etc. So with what we've already spent, we have $93,000 remaining. The lowest bid was at $135,000, so there's a $43,000 gap. Now, if you wish to move forward with the project, we do have a way, we talked about how that can be financed. So basically, and it's going to sound complicated, so I know I'm going to talk about it, but feel free to ask about it again. So we are funding the restroom with a combination of ARPA funds and urban renewal dollars. The restroom project, because I actually did add capacity to our restrooms, actually is SDC eligible. So instead of using a bit of ARPA dollars, we can supplant those with system development charge dollars that we did have programmed for the new wetland park, and I'll get to where those may come back from in a minute. So we add system development charges to the restroom, use then ARPA dollars from the restroom to fill this gap, which ARPA dollars are unrestricted and is an appropriate use of them. And then we already know we probably have an increment of cost remaining to fully build out the new wetland park, since the grants are about $750,000, and we knew the engineer's estimate was closer to $1 million, but in this days of budget world, who knows where that will land. We are planning on submitting for a state parks grant to finish out that last increment. And so instead of asking for $250,000, we would ask for basically $300,000 to make up for the system development charge reallocation, as I'll call it. So it is possible that we get all these projects done and not necessarily lose out on anything as we redirected the funding. Yes, that does mean that we would have to be successful in the state park grant ask. But generally, I like to believe it's a very competitive project that we have. It's a good story. We haven't received that grant funding in some time. And if not that ask, there may be a future ask to make up that gap. So if this is a project you all say, no, it's a worthwhile project, improving the access, improving the picnic ability, let's go do this. That is kind of the financial mechanism to get it done without necessarily impacting general fund dollars or other projects. So that's the main first question is, do you want to move forward with this project? It is possible to ask CDBG if we could rescope the project and then rebid it, because we did present it to CDBG board. If we rescoped it, we would have to get their permission to rescope it. Most likely in a rescope, it would just be for the ADA pathway, since that does increase ADA access. There's always the option to wait and rebid. Again, if we wait past the fiscal year, kind of running two risks. One, we'd have to make sure we get CDBG approval to extend it. The other question is that we've seen, on the federal government side, we did get notice that this project it's funded, so there's not a worry because CDBG comes from the federal side, passed through state, county to us. Don't know where future CDBG may land as the administration is just looking at everything. So we do know we have the money now. Don't know if we'll have it kind of past the fiscal year. Or as I said, we can certainly reallocate funding to award the project. So the staff recommendation, if it is a worthwhile project to you all, is to award it to lead contractors not to exceed $136,000 and would use the financial maneuvering as presented to cover that cost. And I'm going to pause right there, take a drink of water, and answer any questions you have.
All right. Counselor Minor, any questions, thoughts?
Yeah, hi, Roy. You don't always have to call on me first, but I'll admit something right now as I'm sitting here. I'm looking at the dollars, and I'm thinking about every time we go over budget, and I don't want this to sound like we're doing the wrong thing, nor am I making any decision right now on this project, but we have just discussed $12,000 in the previous item. We're now discussing a project that is over budgeted. And we're talking about where we're going to get money for that. We had a well project that was, again, this is not criticism, but we're finding money for over budgeted projects. So as I look at this and I think about this project, I don't want to walk away from an $80,000 grant. So I would like to see us try to get something done, but I'm really starting to get a little concerned about revenue, and not just in this meeting, but I'm starting to get a little concerned about revenue over the next 3 years or so. So I think any of these discussions, while we can come up with the money, we find ways, we have to be, I think, looking at any of these discussions in a broader way than we perhaps have been having to do in the past. So that's kind of where my head is. I don't want to walk away from an $80,000 grant. I don't know if what the rules are on asking to resubmit and redo this design so we can stay within our budget on this. So those are my thoughts.
Other thoughts or comments?
Costs are always going up. If we don't do it till summer, late summer, we're going to have to ask for more money. I don't know. Catch-22.
Your thought? Okay. So we are always conservative on our budget when we lay out a plan each year. And that's how we always come away at the end of the year with more money than what we started off with. I can't think of a year that we have spent more than what we planned to. Yeah, so we've always had money left over every year that I've been on the council. So my thought is right there, that's where we're at now. So I don't see that a $43,000 gap is a big deal. I mean, it is because we're conservative at that main point anyway. So that's my thought on it, John. And I realized your thought on the 3 years that we have to worry about what's going to happen nationally speaking, because that's on my mind as well. But I think as far as our city is concerned, we're in a lot better place than most cities across the country. So there's my thought on it. So I accept what the city staff has brought to us as to go ahead with this.
What would it take to rescope it to get it within?
So
The
first,
budgeted.
we'd have to ask CDBG if we can rescope it. And then if we can rescope it, what can we, still include or take out? Pending that, then, we'd have to obviously redo the RFP and get that back out and just see where that lands. One thing, we bid it in January. So, I think construction firms are still kind of booking up their spring and summer schedules, obviously waiting on CDBG, their determination, rescoping it, rebidding it, you're just pushing it further out, and that may actually, there may not be much of a cost break by limiting what we're building. I don't know that. That's just one of the risks of trying to rescope it. You think, oh, well, we'll just do the pathway. It'll fall within the 93,000. It may still be 110 just because of then that's just how the bidding works and the schedules and material costs. It's just one of those unknowns we can't predict, unfortunately.
Also, rescoping it is not necessarily a simple process. Even when we made the minor change of adding the ADA pathway after we had already submitted the application, we just our county rep, and then we had to actually modify and resubmit the application before it went to the board. So this was a board approved project. So it's.
I'm not sure that they'd even approve a scope
right.
change.
A scope change may actually involve going back to the board. And I don't know if they would carry the funds over or just make us wait till the next application.
They generally don't
process.
like to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
And-
challenging.
And oh, go ahead.
I was also going to say, in looking at what we scoped, there's $30,000 for furnishings, which is the picnic tables, the barbecues, and the benches. Everything else is the ADA pathway. And if you can see from the diagram, that's about the shortest, flattest route to get through the Grove. Like, there's not a lot of way to shorten. There's not a lot of cost containment you can do there. You can either have an ADA pathway or not. I mean, that's really the problem, is there's not a lot to cut out of the scope that's going to get you $43,000.
Yeah, changing the scope would simply be either doing the picnic tables or the pathway. That's.
And
nothing
and trying to address again, because costs, extra funding, what our future funding may result. Clearly, staff's very sensitive to that and talks about it every week. So that's why we came up with there's still a way to fund it without necessarily harming the general fund and the other projects. The other thing we talked about, there really aren't other big general fund projects on the horizon other than accumulating for stuff that we've already talked about, replacement of this, accumulating funds. We've now started the playground accumulation, but that wasn't programmed for a few more years. Obviously, fire is going to be a big increase in costs, and we'll need to work on that. And hopefully at the next council meeting, there's some more details on that. But certainly, as we may be moving in the next few years, we actually have, I think, fewer projects than we've had the last. If you look at the last 3 years, I think the next 3 will have fewer projects, and we'll be more focused on the public safety, revenue enhancements, et cetera. But that's not to say if you are concerned about this project, we don't have to do it. It was again recommended by Parks Commission. Council liked it. Does increase the accessibility access throughout the park, and we did find a way to kind of fill the gap and hopefully hold the general fund and the the other main park project kind of harmless through just kind of a larger grant ask than we would have asked for originally, but not a huge amount compared to what the original ask would be.
I'm going to let you know that most of I haven't been hearing anything for a little bit of time here. Something happened and I wasn't getting any audio. The last pieces I've heard was Greg, primarily what you were saying. Uh, so, uh, uh, and the, yeah, just mostly what you were saying. So, let me just say that again, and I appreciate what I did here because you remind us that that is the coming up with that money is not coming out of the general fund, that additional money. So that's a fair reminder here. So, and it sounds like you're not optimistic about a redesign on this and a resubmit.
Unfortunately, with CDBG, it's just a more difficult one than the restroom, which we're, self-financing. Great, we hold back, we relook, we rebid. With CDBG, it's kind of a whole other game. And I'm not sure that we'd get a different result.
Yeah.
And just a reminder for mostly my refreshment, see, the SDC funds are only eligible for.
They're restricted funds, whether it be for, in Wood Village's case, water, sewer, and parks. And so they can only be used on eligible water, sewer, or park projects. And that's where, in looking at how can we fund this gap, we went back to the Parks Master Plan, the System Development Charge Methodology, where it did actually allocate a certain amount for a restroom replacement for that increased capacity. So that's where we're able to pull essentially a restricted fund to cover the restroom, then pull out unrestricted from the restroom to use to cover this gap. And then what wouldn't be in system development charge for the wetland park, we would ask for a slightly larger grant ask, which we were going to have to do anyway to fill the rest, that last gap.
So the park that we haven't developed yet, the final ask hasn't been done, so those funds are still kind of unknown.
We were just kind of informed last week that the grant was going to be opening. There's still workshops, like we're still ways away from even applying for the grant. And so it's kind of great timing to say, oh, instead of again 250, let's ask for 3.
So it kind of makes more sense, especially because rescoping and everything, staff time, waiting, and so that's also cost there. So,
yeah, we really don't make, this lightly, especially when there's a budget gap. But we thought we found kind of a creative way, if again, the project had value, to have it be done.
Mayor, if you like, I'd like to make motion. I move to approve Resolution 3-2025, authorizing the city manager to award Donald L. Robinson Park Enhancement Project to Lee Contractors not to exceed $136,000.
I'll second.
So it's been moved in second. Any further discussion?
I appreciate the follow up here and not hearing part of that other discussion but Greg's last statements there were helpful.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you all very much.
I just had a few final comments before we end tonight's meeting. And so I've been reached out from one of our local legislators that they are helping sponsor a Senate Bill 703, which is asking for the state to help provide fundings to a nonprofit to help community members find permanent citizenship in the state of Oregon. And so they are asking for a letter of support. Before moving forward, I spoke with Greg and we both thought it'd be wise to bring that to the council, just hear your thoughts and see if that's something, the council as a whole or the city would like to help provide a letter of support to.
Is it different than the way we have now for citizenship?
No, so basically what it would do is just help provide funding to cover legal costs, to obtain the current process of legal citizenship.
So it's kind of like legal aid towards the citizenship pathway,
Yeah.
just to help navigate the process and kind of have someone help go through that.
Yeah. And what I can do also is I can get the proposed Senate bill, send it to Greg, that he can share with the rest of the council. And then, with more information, just hear your thoughts on that as well. And then
That'd be helpful. Thank you, Hiram.
yeah, and then lastly, this is more of a they send this. I received an email earlier this week. So EMOPI, which stands for East Multnomah Outreach Prevention Intervention Program, is the state funding that Gresham got to do violent prevention out here in East County. And it seems that they are going back to the state next week in requesting continuous funding and perhaps more funding for this program. Obviously, they came last, I'm gonna say August?
July, I think.
And shared that they had received additional funding to transform this more of a East County, east of 82nd prevention program. And so once again, I wanted to bring this up to the council as they are as well looking for a letter of support. But just having some conversation with Greg, we do have some asks that we would want to do, but I just wanted to bring it up and see if you guys had any comments or thoughts on that one as well.
What does this one do again?
This was the youth violence prevention programs that City of Gresham is operating kind of on behalf of the county and City of Portland. So their territory is everything east of 82nd, kind of to the county line. They came in July to talk about, they hire the various nonprofits to, engage in various activities, whether it be kind of proactive recreation or mentoring, all the way into kind of like in the schools and doing interventions or post-incident intervention. Some of the questions the mayor and I have had is, it was a great presentation. Certainly they said they're going to be out in the area, but we haven't heard what's been going on. Also in trying to invite some of their partner organizations to events so other people know, oh, this is a resource available. We just haven't gained a lot of traction in that. So I think we just want to circle back and say, okay, yeah, it's expanding. It takes some time. What's been going on? What is the plan moving forward? So then if we do support continuous funding, which hopefully, hopefully there's good works going on, we're just more informed of how those good works are, not just impacting Gresham and East Portland, but Wood Village, Troutdale, the rest of the county.
Yeah, I'd like to. Oh, there we go again, John. There we go again. John, you first?
Hawk.
Okay. What I'd like to see is, first of all, what they're doing, what things they've accomplished, what the results are they have on success, and how much money that they use in what kind of operational things that they're doing. So more information.
More information. Perfect.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
More information. And again, the transmission keeps blinking on and off. So, but I heard more information, and I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Perfect. So
I think we'll try to work with the Gresham program managers to come to a future council meeting to talk about, again, what they've been able to start up, early results they're seeing, and I think what their plans are for the future and how that could be supported.
Yeah, good.
John, you might consider turning off your video so that your voice will come out stronger whenever this problem arises.
Mark, say that again.
Turn off your video.
Well, Well, we'll use
don't
that
you-
one we'll use that one for the next meeting because
Yeah.
if there isn't any other question or comments,
Ew.
we're adjourned. Thank you, John.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ira.
Yeah, he turned it off. He laughed for somebody